Welcome to the Authentically Elisa podcast, Reshaping Business with Integrity, the podcast where we explore how to run your business authentically and with integrity. I'm your host, Elisa Bogarts, a business coach and launch manager, helping coaches launch their programs and events that align with their business values. Together, we'll uncover the secrets to building a successful business without sacrificing morals, ethics, authenticity, or heart. Let's dive in. All right, so let's dive into today's episode. Today, we're going to be talking about the secrets of a sought-after coach. And I have an amazing guest with me, Amanda Kaufman, who is a business strategist and mentor. So Amanda is a business strategist, coach, and founder of the Coaches Plaza. With nearly 2 decades of consulting experience, she is known for making complex growth challenges feel clear and executable. Amanda teaches the behaviors and systems that turn effort into results, helping serious business owners build momentum, stability, and trust in themselves. Welcome, Amanda.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm super excited to have you here. It was so much fun being on your show, and I love how we're trading. It's so great.
Absolutely.
So tell me, your story, how you got into this field of work and just why you're so passionate about it.
Love it. Yeah, consulting, such an accident in general. I grew up in Nuvik, Northwest Territories, which is a really small, very remote northern town.
Wow.
And all I knew really growing up was that I think I want to live in a city. I had these ideas about where I wanted to live and what I wanted to do, and really the main thing that I understood at that time was get educated, and then you'll be appealing for a job. Like that's the playbook that I think we're all handed,
Yeah.
regardless of where you come from. So I decided to pursue a degree in engineering because I thought, well, I love math, I love science, and I like the idea of applying those things to actually solve real world problems. Never really met too many engineers. Turned out my grandmother was actually a chemical engineer. She was first
Oh,
graduate from the University of Saskatchewan, but I was ignorant of that. I didn't even realize that until I actually moved in to live with her while I went to university. But anyway,
it's pretty cool.
so yeah, I was ignorance on fire and went and got the education. And then as I got towards the last years of school, I was really thinking, I'm like, okay, all I know for sure is city and I don't want to be poor. Right? Like I want to set myself up well. So I did like an extra entrepreneurship option while I was in college, which was super cool. And I remember my mom asking me at the time, she's like, what's the business you're going to start? 'Cause she ran a business for my entire time growing up, still does. And I was like, no way, mom. I want security. I remember actually using those words as like a 20 something. I want security. So I applied to 148 jobs at the time. And
Wow.
most of them were engineer in training type roles. But like the main criteria was bigger city and, like actually paid. So no unpaid internships. And that was pretty much the criteria. So as I did all these applications, I came across one that was for a consulting company. And it was the weirdest thing. I don't know if you've ever had this experience, but I was reading the description and I'm like, that's me, that's me, that's me, that's me. And it had like all of the description of exactly, my skills, my aptitudes, my abilities. And I'm like, this is eerie how that's me it is. So anyway, I applied for it, not an engineering job, not at all. It
Right?
was a consulting gig.
Hmm.
But I was really excited to do it because when I went through the interview process, they're like, we have an internal college and you can take courses and all of that kind of stuff. And I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I can get paid to actually learn. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And you get to work on projects and you get to go, work for governments and different companies and all this kind of thing. And you're always going to be on a team. So people will show you the ropes. And I'm like, sold, 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 sold. I was so sold. And I actually loved consulting. I did it for 10 years for one of the biggest consulting firms in the world. I became a senior manager in the strategy practice, which is super cool. Um, and I was starting to flatline in my growth journey. The projects were starting to smell and sound the same over and over and over again. And, what was once very, very exciting to go do is starting to really become routine. And I wasn't getting that activation. Um, and so I knew like I had this entrepreneurial thing in the back of my mind the whole
Mm.
time. And I was one of those people that was like, I could do a business on this, I could do business on that. And I think a lot of people are like that. You know, it's like I could have a business doing XYZ. So I was like always doing that. But it wasn't until I really started to kind of feel that flat line before I was like, but really, seriously, um, what would you like to do? And I was like, I need to be an entrepreneur. So I went on a journey of, enrolling in coaching and courses and all of these kinds of things. And I figured out that something I was really good at as a consultant was actually coaching. I didn't know
Ah,
that. Like, I didn't really name it until much later in my consulting career, but it was this people focused development conversation, but it was always in the context of like systems and transformation, like process transformation, organization transformation. But I loved talking to the people, like the individual person about what they were facing. And that was basically the spark, the flint spark of the business that went on for another 10 years. Yeah.
wow, wow. And so tell us about this. You had these names on a post-it and then like how you
Oh,
actually
yeah,
started
yeah.
the
There was one
business.
really
Yeah.
big flaw in the whole plan, and that was I didn't know anybody outside of my company that I was working for. So, the thing is like when you're in corporate consulting, you go from project to project. You're on an airplane Monday morning very early, and you don't get home until Thursday night very late. You work remotely on Friday. Kiss your babies and hug your hubbies on the weekends, and then you're back in the airport. So it's not exactly a great environment for developing long-term, lasting relationships, and your network is constantly shifting and changing. And beyond that, when I was starting my entrepreneurial journey, I was the breadwinner in our family. I was making the most money out of me and my husband. He was doing pretty well, but I mean, like, I felt a lot of responsibility around that.
Mhm.
And so I didn't really want to exactly tell people in my corporate gig that I was starting a business until I was darn well good and ready, because I didn't want to risk getting fired over, having split interests. So it meant that I really didn't know too many people at all. And I remember I was doing a coaching certification to formalize my knowledge. And they said, you got to do 10 complimentary coaching sessions with people that are not related to you and not in the coaching program. And I'm like, crap. And it took me 90 minutes going through my phone, all my contacts, all my email contacts, LinkedIn contacts. And at the end of the day, I came out with 8 names on a post it, 8 names of people that I trusted enough to say, hey, I might be starting a business. Do you want to help? And it was like so depressing, actually. Um, but I obviously figured it out, and it was actually total kismet. So I did the I reached out to all 8 people. I just basically like deep breath, keyboard warrior, overly apologetic, and far too long of an email. Sent it off to the first person, and I'm like, oh, I can copy and paste this. So I copied and pasted, sent it out to all 8 people. So I think my first launch campaign took me a grand total of 18 minutes. And but everybody came back. Everybody was like, yeah, sure, I'll support you, right? Because I really did handpick like the creme de la creme in my network.
Right.
And so I did the first session, and they were like, oh my gosh, great, loved it, happy for you. This is your destiny. You should definitely be a coach. And I was like, great, awesome. I still need to find more people. But like, I didn't say that to the person.
Right.
Next person, I do a complimentary session. Great, amazing, wow, transformative. This is great. Then he goes, hey, I have a friend who is changing jobs, and he's feeling kind of twisted around about it a little bit. Is it cool if I introduce you? Would you give him a coaching session? And I was like,
I'm like, yes. That's like a good
yes,
spot.
please. It hadn't occurred to me that just because my network was really constrained and small didn't mean that everybody I talked to's network was the same way. They didn't have the same
Right.
constraints. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh. So from that guy on, I made a habit of anytime I did a complimentary session, I asked, who do you know, who's one person you know that'd be better off knowing me? and simply asking for those connections and referrals. And sometimes you get people that are like, nah, no thanks, I'm good, because they were like me with 8 names on a post-it. But very often you'll run into people who will either give you one referral, and sometimes you'll connect in with somebody who is going to just send you years of business, like literally years of business, because they are that social butterfly that you need to be connected with.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, amazing. And so that's what launched your career, basically, your business.
It really did. It wasn't that I did a website. It wasn't that I did a big crazy launch. It wasn't the technology I chose. It was connecting with a person, doing a damn good job, and then allowing that person to share their joy by making a connection. Like
Right.
even at the core fundamental of all this, I mean, we've been on each other's podcasts, right? How did that happen? Through networks.
Yeah,
We were
totally.
introduced to each other, right?
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and like that's the core, that is the most fundamental aspect of scaling a business that there is the ability to scale your ability to have connected relationships.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, speaking of scaling, what does scaling on your terms while, like remaining authentic, what does that look like for you?
Well, I think it is unique to every business for sure. So for me, because you're asking me,
Yes.
scaling is about not just unmitigated growth, right? So scaling, obvious, I mean, I don't know too many people who would turn away like, I want to have a 7-figure business, or I want to have an 8-figure business, and just give me more money. That'd be great. Like most people want more abundance and more flow coming towards them. So when I'm considering scaling, obviously that's a consideration. However, the manner in which you do it matters a lot, right? So I am a big believer, and this is actually really rooted into the coaching that I was doing as a consultant. Actually, it was
Mm.
wild. We would have these really prescriptive, specific plans that were well researched, scientifically backed, tested, proven, checklist, prescriptive. Like it was a Ferrari manual for a lot of the things that we were doing, and yet the uptake of it was often not taken up, right? It's like people just didn't do the doing part.
Right. Yeah,
And
100%.
when I explore that with people, and this is also core to my scaling philosophy, if the person is not ready to adopt the change, then I mean, you can prescribe anything you want and it won't happen. And it's the
Yeah.
same thing with scaling. Like when it comes back to scaling on my terms, it's like, well, are you scaling something that you derive a sense of meaning and purpose? Is there utility to scaling this thing? Like, apart, the money is important, but like, and then what with the money, and how much money is it going to take to grow the thing, right?
Mm.
Because you don't get something for nothing in business. It's an investment. It's smart investments and connections that lead to more business. um are you going to see a beginning of progress on your return on investment soon, right?
Yeah.
I think where a lot of people go wrong with scaling is they're just maybe 2 or 3 steps further down the path than they actually are. Like they're trying to implement a plan that requires more money, more team, more capability than they have right now, and they have
Right.
no plan for developing that capability. And that's the biggest constraint I think to scaling that I see.
Hmm.
And that's something I'm personally extremely mindful of. Is I'm like, wait, do I have the sequence here?
Yeah.
Am I going to start to see progress soon? That's not to say I have to get all my results fast. I'm not looking for get rich quick. That's not a real thing. That's not real life, people.
No.
But if you can have line of sight, and you can measure meaningful progress, that day by day, you are stepping towards that bigger, better, more smoothly operating business, then you're winning.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love
Yeah.
that. And you just sort of reminded me of one of my clients right now. It's kind of in that messy middle phase. And he always says, is it no? Like we're too big for something, but too small for we're like, like you want to be moving and scaling and you have these ideas and you're making that momentum for it. And so you're at that point where like you need another person on the team, but you can't quite afford that person yet. but like, you're like on the edge of it. So like that, like you were just talking about, that investment kind of has to kind of come in, where
Yeah.
you need to get that person and have all the systems ready and set up so that you can take that next step.
Oh my God. You know what the biggest source of entrepreneurial misery is?
What's that?
Like just abject misery. It's when your expectations and the reality that you're experiencing are so out of whack, right?
Mm,
And so like if you have an expectation that you're supposed to be able to hire somebody, but your reality is that your P&L won't allow it, or your reality is that you're kind of a crap manager and you don't have any management skills yet, right? Like it's just a reality that like a
yeah.
lot of us face as we're growing, is like, oh, um, great book is the E-Myth. You know, I think that should be required reading for any entrepreneur, but it's that idea that you're shifting from the technician into this leadership position. And yeah,
Hmm.
I mean, like, of course you're constrained. Obviously you're constrained, right? But if your expectation is that you should be happy all the time, or your expectation should be that your business is performing better than it is, or your expectation is that you shouldn't have to, I don't know, pay taxes or pay these expenses or deal with the comings and goings of life. It's actually the expectations around all of that that cause the most, you know, problem for the entrepreneur. And it's when you can
Mm,
get real about where you really are, you get to shift to reality. But if you're
right.
playing out here in this future version of yourself that doesn't exist, or a past version of yourself that no longer exists, how are you supposed to affect change?
Right. Totally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I like that you said that, because it's like about shifting into like a CEO mindset, as opposed to, because a lot of us, when we begin, we have all the hats, and then you start to grow, right, and then you get sort of
Yep.
up to six figures and beyond, and you start to grow a team, and then all of a sudden you're still so heavily, they're all heavily dependent on you, you're still the decision maker of everything, you're still like on top of it, in the weeds, and so like you really got to level up with that and move into
Yeah,
that
for
CEO
sure.
mindset and let go of a lot of things, let's see if the business can run with your leadership and your guidance, but not you know
Well, and I would say
over.
also calibrate your expectations around the team you do have, right? So, what I see
Mm,
with a lot of the entrepreneurs that I coach is that sometimes they either have higher expectations than the reality of the capability of the people on their team,
yeah.
or they have way lower expectations than the capability of the people on their teams. So they tend to hang on to everything and
Yeah.
struggle to delegate anything because they don't have a high enough expectation, or a reality matched expectation of the capacity of the people that you have hired.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah. 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 And I think that's really good to like evaluate that too. And even like ask your people, like, because maybe you
sure.
don't
Yeah.
even know what their capabilities are. Maybe they have something that'd be great that you can give to them that like will totally help grow your company.
1,000,000%. I'm a big Disney movie fan. I like Disney movies, and one of my favorite scenes ever is in Tangled, and she's singing with all the bad guys in the in the bar of like, I have a dream, everybody has a dream, and it's like that's actually so true. You know, like everyone on your team, like don't look at, you know, let's say you've got a virtual assistant, and I see this a lot with people that get virtual assistants that are like not in the United States particularly.
Yeah.
um, they tend to treat them like they're robots, or some lower life form, which sucks, right? It's like these are human beings with families,
Yeah.
right? These are people who have families that, you know, you get economic arbitrage by being able to hire people in a different country, but that doesn't mean that they're not empowered people. I mean, like the exercise we do in my company every year is we ask each team member for their vision statement, and we have
Oh,
like a
that's
whole
nice.
worksheet that we take them through around like, what's your vision? You want to make more money this year? Amazing. What are you going to do with it? Who's going to be affected by your success? You know, what was one thing that we could have done better? What's one thing you really want us to focus on? And that's an individual exercise that every team member does and then sends in. So yeah, like I think just really partnering with your people more and recognizing that they don't have your story, your journey, or your capabilities, but that doesn't mean they don't have a story,
Right.
their journey, and their capabilities.
Yeah. 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 100%. And I think that when you, yeah, are in that space where you Yeah, where you're just kind of trying to do everything, right?
Mm,
But that can lead to kind of burnout, right? I know that you've helped
yeah,
coaches break their revenue ceilings without burning out. So what
smashing them.
signs tell you that a coach is ready for their next level, and what's actually holding them back?
Um, ego is one of the biggest issues in our
Mm,
space. Just TBH, there's a lot of pressure to always be perfect. And a lot of the experts and entrepreneurs that I work with, they do have a really powerful facade. Like they have a very good personal brand or presence, right? Um, the nitty gritty truth, though, is often they're not contributing at the level that they possibly could, even if they have a positive attitude, because they're not. They're still hanging on to the idea that it is a them thing, right? They're still hanging on
mm,
to the idea that it's a short-term thing. It's the next month, it's the next 90 days. Like they're not thinking about what's my impact going to be in 5 years and what do I need to be behaving like right now to make sure that in 5 years I have that thing in place, you know?
mm-hmm.
I think the other thing is that very often once you start to succeed, and especially this is bananas, but you don't have to really earn a lot of money to wildly outperform most entrepreneurs statistically, right? And so there's this thing that can happen with a high achiever, it where they can become complacent, right? Because they're like, well, I'm already in the top 15% or I'm in the top 10%, you know. But the thing is that that zone is going to be probably a lucrative freelancer kind of a level zone where you are an individual contributor and you are maybe contracting and consulting. But that's not going to get you to this level where you are able to take vacations and pay for benefits for people on your team and, like have the creative flexibility that you want to have. I'm always saying like you've got to earn enough money to actually sustain the message. And if your business is built on the back of like you're always going live, you're always on, you're always at the front, and you're not making millions of dollars, there's something not working, right? There's
Right.
something not working, and some people they don't have the ambition to figure out that puzzle, and that's okay too. But I think in terms of readiness, you're ready all the time. You're ready
Mm.
all the time to do better, make better connections, and show up better.
Yeah, yeah.
Always, every day. Yeah, that's not a I'll wait until thing. That's a 1% every single day better thing.
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Step by
Yeah,
step,
regular
right?
steady improvement.
That's what
Hmm.
that 1% is what the shift will be.
Yeah, yeah, and kind of simultaneously, it's 1%, but it's also 10x, right? So, for example, if you're getting 1% better at writing social posts, right? You're getting a little more clever with your turn of phrase. You're getting a little clearer. You're getting a little better at taking, the pictures and doing the photo composition. That's not going to shift your business into a scaling modality, right? You're getting incrementally better on something that like you can only be so good at.
Right.
So
Yeah.
the 10x part of scaling is to say, okay, fundamentally, where do I want to go? What do I want to do? Where do I want to be? I was just coaching somebody yesterday, and I said, look, every business has an organic performance level, and
Mhm.
so an organic performance level is kind of like, okay, for you just like going through the world the way that you do, connecting with people the way that you do, posting the way that you do, content schedule the way that you do, like if you have no investment in advertising and no specific strategy to grow your audience, you're going to stagnate at a level of revenue, and it's like not a little bit. You're probably going to do 6 to multi six figures just by showing up, right?
Yeah.
But if you want to do, half a million, a million beyond, that's going to require, and let's just say you're at 100,000, you want to get to a million, fundamentally you will have a different business,
100%. Yeah.
right? So being willing to take on the projects that will step you up to those levels and prioritizing those projects, honestly, as fast as you possibly can. I think there's a lot of narrative in our space as like, I'm burned out. I'm like, as a high performer and a high performance coach, I'll ask some questions. I'm like, you're not burned out, you're tired. There's
Right.
a difference, right? Because you can recover from tired by going to bed on time tonight,
Right.
right?
Don't stay up till
Burned
3 in the
out,
morning.
that's a different level of condition. And
Mm.
that discernment, I feel like, is missing in a lot of entrepreneurial circles.
That's a really, really good point. Yeah. One of my business coaches, he's always seems to be up at like 2, 3 in the morning, but like he says it because he like loves what he's doing and he's in flow state and all this kind of stuff, which is great because sometimes you do get into like the flow and you do it. But
Mhm.
I don't know. To me, I love my sleep and I like I make that a priority to get the rest because of that. Because like, when I was kind of doing both and I was doing corporate and my business before I quit, that was burning me out and I did, so there's always kind of like this fear of hitting that again. So I prioritize my rest so that I don't, get to that level
Absolutely.
of
Like
whatever it could be.
prioritizing your rest and your performance and your nutrition and your movement and your social activity outside. Like when I have people in my group coaching program, I have them do a regular daily tracker. And every day we have 4 high performance habits that it's like, just check it off, right? One of those things is have a social interaction with someone that has nothing to do with your business every single day.
Wait, what?
Right? Could be hi mom, right? It
Yeah.
could be saying hi to the crossing guard. Like it doesn't have to be a big thing, but just like balance, I think, is a really controversial topic in the entrepreneurial space, because one of the reasons why we did this is because we wanted the freedom to create and we wanted that latitude. You will get tired.
Hmm.
And so taking that radical responsibility to like have the boundaries in place to allow yourself to sleep and to thrive and all of that kind of thing. But yeah, I think there's a really wide spectrum between um, feeling down and being depressed, and being tired and being burned out. And I think like that nuance, like I said, a lot of us we're missing it, and we treat it more like an on-off switch. So it's like the second you get tired, you're like, oh no, I'm gonna get burned out. And it's like, whoa, 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 whoa.
Yeah.
Right? Let's
I was
bring
doing
more
that for a
consciousness
while.
to your personal maintenance, and you will be fine. You have so much more capacity than you think you do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. And yeah, and I think that there's something about that with like the sort of the belief shifting or changing your mindset and reframing it to be like, no, if I do these things, then therefore I won't get burnt out. So I don't need to fear that anymore, and then
Totally.
moving forward
Absolutely.
onto it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And they're measurable, quantifiable things too, right? You can
Right.
measure how many hours of sleep you're getting per night. And
Hmm.
if you constantly feel like you're kind of foggy and gray, then it's like add half an hour, see what happens, right?
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
know?
totally.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I
So
love
it's
that.
all it's all a fun experiment, I think.
I'm super curious as to what the other three things on the checklist are for the high performance
Absolutely.
winner.
Learn something,
Oh.
right? And for the love of all things beautiful, do not learn something from 30-second reels. Right? I mean, like long form friggin' content, ideally printed by a publisher, would be great, right? So yeah, 10 pages of learning, say, the social interaction, some kind of movement, some kind of
Yeah.
movement. And actually, the fourth thing is that I worked on my business today. So
Mhm.
sometimes people, will get themselves into, I call this the attitude of coping, right? They get into this
Mhm.
attitude of coping and they're like, I'm coping with my business. I'm going to take a day off. I'm going to take another day off. I'm going to take 3 days off. Before they know it, they've lost a whole friggin' week. And then they're like, oh, I can't, I don't have a steady flow of clients and I don't have a steady this and nobody did things while I was gone. And, da, 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 da. And I'm like, whoa, like, yeah. So that you worked on your business today. And it could have been that you're doing lead gen or outreach, or that you're setting up a system, or that you're building briefings for your team, or, you know, friggin' cleaning out your inbox. I don't know, but you got to touch it.
Yeah,
Right?
every day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
touch it.
Love that. Oh, thank you so much for sharing that. I absolutely love this conversation. It's been so great. I feel like there's been some like even actionable things that people can take. So thank you for sharing all of that.
My
Um,
pleasure.
yeah. So where can our listeners find you online?
Yeah, so my most active place is Facebook.com. You can look up Amanda Kaufman. It's Facebook/chat with Amanda Kaufman. You can also check out our website at www.thecoachesplaza.com. That's coacheses.com. And we've got some goodies there that you're welcome to check out for free.
Thank you. And you gave me a gift, the get the from certified to paid, the ultimate coaching blueprint. Tell us about that.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you for that.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we'll include that in the show notes below, I believe. But the ultimate coaching blueprint is really beautiful for anybody who either has been very organic in how they're getting their clients. So by that I mean you're getting referrals, you're showing up to networking events, you're getting referrals that way, but you don't have a formalized system yet for generating consistent pipeline and consistent revenue. It or if you're just thinking about maybe adding a coaching arm to your business, this would be really, really useful for you.
Awesome. Thank you. And to finish off, do you have any final words of wisdom?
Well, oh, so many words. I spend a lot of time talking. But my motto that I have tattooed on my arm is do what matters. And so my final words of wisdom to you are that you actually are the genius around what matters to you in your life. You don't have to apologize for how fast or slow you're going. You don't have to apologize for, how much you know or don't know, or who you're associating with or not associating with. Like, freedom's kind of the point, y'all. So do what matters and let the rest of it go.
Love that. Amazing. Thank you so much. And thanks for being on the show. It's a wonderful conversation.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode. I hope it inspired you to live a more authentic life. I'd love your help in inspiring more people to live authentically. So please follow, rate, and leave a review so we can create a ripple effect of authenticity. Until next time, stay true to you, be bold, and thrive on your own terms. This is Elisa, signing off authentically.